Well, the 2014 tax year is going to be very interesting because in 2015, it's going to be the first time you're actually going to have to pay for quote unquote affordable health care. Anybody love Obama now? They're going to find out because actually it's kind of small in the beginning. It starts out, but just like cooking a frog in hot water, hey, that's the way they do it, man. 2014. The tax year 2014, in other words, you'll have to pay this coming up this year, and it'll take it out of your refund, buddy. You're not going to be able to get away with not paying it. Or female, whatever I'm talking to. So it's socialized medicine to the max, right? So what's going on is, in other words, you're being forced to pay for something that you're not going to even have a freaking for something you're not going to even receive due to the social cost. So it's $95 per person, or 1% of household income above the threshold, whatever's greater. So you got to pay at least $95. So if you didn't make $1 in 2014, you still got to pay $95. And you're thinking, well, that's $95. Maybe that's not too bad. Well, that $95 will come out of your tax refund. So there you go. For the next year, for tax year 2015, it's 2% of your income, or $325. So that's a little more slice out of your freaking budget, right? And then by 2016 tax year, it's going to be approximately about $1,100 per person. For what? For what? Now, this actually is totally about government control, and this is not the first time it's been tried in this country. As a matter of fact, well, I'll get into a couple more things. This has been an ongoing process for decades. Like, people get lethargic, they go back to sleep, and actually, everybody likes the benefits of something, right? I mean, I would too. I mean, hey, But, Russia, they always put it this way, the conservative way. U.S. medical science, socialized medicine, Russia's aim to destroy America. But you have to remember that the New World Order has actually created communism in the first place. And actually, socialized medicine has a hell of a lot to do with it because... And this is not a new idea. A lot of people think it just came about in the 90s from Hillary Clinton. Nope. This is Truman. Truman, back in I think 1946 or 47, the National Health Insurance Bill, he tried to introduce it. It was shot down. Now back in the late 40s and early 50s, you notice there was a major anti-communist movement going on in this country, and I think a lot of it was due to like the voters. Because America gets the leaders it deserves. You see, after the trials and tribulations of World War II, and you had all these veterans coming back from World War II, no matter what they partaked in, because you never really know. I mean, some people were, I know, like if you really get down into the nitty-gritty, like most people who are veterans never really see combat like in the movies, but you always have that psychological thing that something could happen at any time. During the whole time you're there, you're always in danger. That's the other thing. That's the other side of it too. So everybody that came back from World War II, or any kind of theater, was a war theater, was somebody that had to deal with life and had to be very independent and think on their own, and they stand on their own 2 feet. So a lot of implications that were trying to be pushed in the nation in the late 40s got knocked down, and actually there was major investigations by the House of I think it was investigated. I forgot what the investigative committee was back in the 50s, investigating un-American activities. I know they call it the witch hunt and stuff like that in Hollywood, but some of it was actually true about communists and stuff. Now, the thing is, today we got a soft population for the most part. They're just accepting any damn thing for the majority. Not everybody, but the majority is accepting that right now. You see, with Truman, this was not the first time it's tried. Like you thought Obama was the first, and a lot of times people think it was Hillary Clinton. No, it was actually Truman. Truman tried to push this crap through, and actually FDR was pushing through a lot of socialist bills. Truman was a 33-degree Mason. The guy that dropped the freaking A-bombs on Japan, Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Truman, right? So basically, it's a type of socialized medicine. Is a type of communism. Actually, a lot of people don't realize this, but most people that were dissenters in the Soviet Union when it was really cooking along like the Soviet United Socialist USSR. What was going on back then, people were sent to re-education camps and actually psychiatric detention centers, and they were given things like Haldol and thorium and stuff, which was like a type of brain lobotomy, so they couldn't think straight because they didn't like the way they thought. They just freaking totally destroyed their brains with drugs without actually taking them off to a work education camp. They did this all through the healthcare system. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is actually the impetus behind the New World Order. This is actually all about total control, period. This isn't about helping anybody, man. And, some of it even goes back to LBJ, Mr. Socialist, the Great Social Society, the Great Society program, pushing into Medicare and Medicaid. He was their boy after JFK got shot, right? So he's the guy that does anything that the power freaks want. Now, I know I put some stuff out about, I got to tell you one thing. I'm not neither a liberal and I'm not a conservative. I got to tell you right now. One thing I kind of, I guess I lean a little more conservative because I agree with hard work and productivity. But I also got to tell you that, the conservatives have this theory about the trickle-down theory. Hell no, there's no trickle-down theory. There's a trickle-down theory maybe with a multi-millionaire or something like that. Maybe you work with maybe somebody with $10, $20 million or something. But when you're talking about billionaires, they didn't get that kind of money by giving anything to anybody. I'm going to tell you that right now. When you're talking to 1 basis point, there's no trickle down unless something is coming back in their pocket, or at least they figured something's coming back in their pocket, unless you trick them pretty good. So I got to tell you though, the monopoly type capitalism is basically the same damn thing as communism. You got an elite running the damn thing. What you want is laissez-faire capitalism with a strong middle class. You don't need this freaking socialized medicine. Now, I know Obama came on, with his hope and change bull crap, and I know change has always been a buzzword for communism, man. Now, the thing is, in 2016, we got this freaking yo-yo Jeb Bush going to be running like we had Daddy Bush and Son Bush and Brother Bush. I ain't voting for these yo-yos. This is getting ridiculous, man, versus Hillary Clinton. I think Hillary's going to win. I mean, the only person that can actually screw it up for the Republican Party all the way is Jeb Bush, man. I mean, I would probably vote for a Republican if I at least never heard of the guy too much, or somebody. I mean, I'm not even a fan of Rand Paul because I think he's another talk sweet sellout, but I'd vote for that guy, I'd vote for somebody like, I don't know, Ted Cruz or something. I wouldn't freaking vote for Jeb Bush in a million years, even though I probably always vote Republican or Libertarian. The only guy I'd ever vote for Democrat, but I was never in his district, was trafficking. He's a stand-up guy. There's a couple of them I would, but most of them I wouldn't. But Jeb Bush is guaranteeing that it's going to be a shoo-in for the next communist, Hillary Clinton. But I also got to tell you this. People don't realize. This is almost like funny because, the people that voted Obama in office, they got no clue this is coming up. They're going to have money taken out of their freaking thing. And I know there's a lot of exemptions. Actually, there's 26 million people that could be exempt from paying the Obamacare, or the national health care, affordable health care, or Jeb Bush care, or whatever you want to call it, right? The next yo-yo or Romney care, or whatever the hell you want to call it, right? This guy's a sellout anyway. But what I'm telling you is, if you're exempt this year, that don't mean you're going to be exempt 2 years from now. And what you're getting out of it to be exempt is nada. You ain't getting nothing. You're not getting anything at all. I mean, it's something where you're paying something for nothing. This is like a fine for just breathing air. And actually, that would be something else they'll come up with, the breathing air tax, just like the carbon tax. That's why they got global warming. But I got to tell you this. A lot of people too, they also see Obama as one side and Vlad Putin as the other side. Not really. I kind of prefer to deal with Vlad. Actually, for me, knowing all the way back how things have been going for, here's Hillary, our next president, probably. I hate to say it, but that's what it's going to be. She's actually very popular. But I know for a fact, though, that I don't guess it was decades ago. So here it's 2015, basically, right? Another day. So I knew back in 1980 about what Major Anatoly Golitsyn was telling us and what he was writing back in the 70s about the long-range plan. Vlad is playing it right to the hilt, too. Vlad is playing it right to the hilt. None of these guys on the top are doing anything for anybody. Period. And this wench, forget about it, man. But she's highly popular, which I always say, though, the country gets the leadership they deserve. That's really what it comes down to. The country gets the leadership it deserves, man. And, if you look at the Gallup polls, two people that are extremely popular right now are Obama and Hillary. So, but to give you a little more insight, like I said before, the Gulag system in the Soviet Union, a lot of people say, oh, the Gulag system, and you were carted away to Siberia or something, or the Krasnoyarsk was actually another big area right down in here. That was where all the trains, like it was in southern Siberia, where all the trains routes pretty much crossed over. That was another area, but they mainly did it through the healthcare system. That's how they freaking took care of the dissidents, man. And you got to figure this. I'm going to probably put a video out on this, but you got it, the Trans-Pacific Pact. That's another thing that's coming up. I think it's the TPP, the Trans-Pacific Pact Partnership, like Pact Partnership. Trans-Pacific Partnership, that's coming up. The elite are screwing you, man. And you know what? It isn't taken to the streets to fix the problem. That's like jumping out of your foxhole and saying, I protest. It's dumb. It's dumb. There's a lot of ways you do it. You actually got to think a little more like the way they do things in Mexico. For instance, I don't want to pick on the Mexicans, man, but, the Mexicans got some freaking smarts. In other words, if you got to pay a lot of real estate tax, what you do is you never finish your house. You leave a little part of the house that's unfinished, and you just keep renewing your building permit that's cheaper than the taxes. There's a way around something all the time, man. And, even in the Soviet Union, they had an underground economy, right? But the whole thing is keeping your mouth shut, the omerta, baby. And I got to tell you one thing. I know a lot of people, I know the Hollywood always puts the mafia as the this and that, and the wealthy and blah, blah, blah. But you know what? You know why the mafia came about? Not freaking GQ, freaking I'm a badass or anything like that. It was due to freaking crap like this. Control freaks that freaking were putting the hammer down on the people. You know what I mean? So you got to actually think a little bit like shrewd and below the radar. And, I tell you the truth, not that I would trust it 100%. Even the cops will freaking side with you on most of the stuff because they know what's fair and what's unfair. You believe it or not, don't go buying into all this freaking, police brutality, anti-police shit, because that's another scam. The New World Order assholes are playing on us. But anyway, I want to show you a little link here. This is actually not an advertisement firm or nothing, but TurboTax. I don't freaking use this. I use regular professional accounting tax software that's not available to the underlings. But we got Affordable Care Act covered, right? So it tells you about simple questions. It'll tell you about your best options if you don't have insurance. This is not an advertisement, but this is probably one of the better deals you could freaking do to try to find easy-to-use exemption check. Check now. If you don't have insurance, we'll check to see if you qualify to have your penalty waived and take the application process for you. That could save you hundreds, So, one thing I could say about business can probably help you out with freaking finding a way around some of this crap. But, the people that are basically don't even think about this crap, they're probably not going to see this video. They're going to find out when they get the bill. They'll see $95 this year. $325 next year. That's a minimum, and a year after is going to be $1,100 for nothing. But remember, this has been the same old crap. Truman tried this crap too. I got to put this up here because people don't remember this. A lot of people weren't even. I wasn't even born then. A lot of people weren't born at 46, 47, right? Some people were, some people weren't. But he tried the national health insurance bill. But hey, man. We had a different type of political, actually that's what his yo-yo was in there for only one term, man. But, like I said, we get the leadership we deserve. Here's the flip side to wars, though. Here's the flip side to wars. It's almost like, a lot of people would say, if we had a war in the Middle East or we had a war in Afghanistan or whatever like that, and, people come back, the one thing I don't like is they're freaking trying to screw with these people by saying, do you feel sad at one time? Do you feel depressed, more depressed this year than you did last year? So they try to give you meds and freaking screw your brain up. They're trying to do that with all these people that are veterans. There's always been problems like with people with veterans, and they live with it without their funky meds. But the thing is, people that were veterans that saw a lot of action, the thing is, even if they were in a theater and they were under the stress of all the crap that, something could happen at any time, and they're under 24 hours a day, stay awake training, work your ass off, and freaking live in the dirt and all that kind of crap. Because I know, probably 99 point something percent of people don't go on, firefight patrols every day. That's not too many of those that actually do that. But actually, everybody endures a lot of stress. But the thing is, veterans are coming back from these kind of situations. They're one of the staunchest backbones of America. As a matter of fact, the reason it's like that is because, when the going gets tough here domestically, you can actually count on the veterans more than anything. And it's not like they're an organized monolithic group or anything like that, but they stand up for what's right as individuals. So, they actually are a major influence in the political system, and actually a major problem too, usually to Obama or Hillary. I know there's some people that sell out and just say that, if you'd have to be an idiot if you're in the military to say, I don't like my commander-in-chief, I think he's a jerk, he's an asshole. I would never say that no matter what, I might ride around, like I remember I had my Bill Clinton, I didn't really like him. I used to put a big Bill Clinton for change on my motorcycle oil tank with the hammer and sickle for the C, just so they got the message. So I said, hey man, that was his campaign close slogan, and he likes Russia, so Bill Clinton for change. Nothing offensive to the commander-in-chief. Well, sure, that didn't help me too much anyway. So anyway, but you got to watch what you say in the military. The military isn't going to just go out and say, hey, Obama, you're a fascist. Hillary, you're a fascist. Shut up. Get the hell out of here and shit like that. But the thing is, actually, the veterans and actually the more it's like a weird thing, and it's an unexpected thing the elite don't count on. The veterans that actually are stressed from being in theaters of war and under immense workloads for days on end, and it's almost like crushing coal into a diamond. They got a lot of individual strength, and I know that the medical community is trying to freaking screw them up with your funky drugs by saying you get stress, so here, take my funky drugs, so you can't think and you don't want to bother with anything. Well, the thing is, I think a lot of veterans are figuring that one out. But the thing is, actually, if you're a veteran, you always say you're happy. You're happy. I'm happy. I feel great. Oh, yeah. Anyway, but so they don't give you any of the funky meds. But the thing is, the veterans are actually some of the big backbone in America. And, I know a lot of these yo-yos in the alternative media will be saying, oh, the Rothschilds are sending people to war. But, in a lot of ways, that comes back on the freaking quote-unquote Rothschilds or the banksters or whatever, because it makes hardened diamonds that really see the reality that can stand up on their own 2 feet. That's the difference. That's the difference, baby. That's the difference, man. So, you got to look at, they don't yo-yos on the top don't have everything figured out. Also, I want to mention something in here because as an adjunct, it's not related to Obamacare. And I know there's a lot of this bullshit about cure-alls on the internet. Clydal Silver's a cure-all and shit. And they say that, well, I got a lot of arguments about that deal, man, because I know the limitations on that shit. But actually, if there's two things, well, besides Rife, if you don't know what the hell that is, that may be, but I'm not too sure how that exactly works. But two simple things that any medical doctor can do, and actually is being done in Germany, Austria, Israel, Switzerland, New Zealand, and I don't know, there's a lot of other major countries, in Japan, is ozone IV therapy and various ozone therapies. That's the closest thing to a cure-all there is. You got to really kind of be a medical doctor because you can't do too much because it's bad, and you got if you do too little, it don't work. But various types of ozone therapy, especially via IV, works like crazy. That'll drop the cost of medical care like down to nothing. The other thing is intravenous vitamin C, or true liposomal vitamin C. That's been known to freaking pretty much collaborate any kind of cancer or virus, and there's really no upper toxic dosage that they ever found. They've been given like 8,000 times the recommended daily requirement. I mean, I got a lot of videos on that stuff, and backed up by some other research from real medical doctors. But you know, it's just plain old ascorbic acid. It's nothing special. And, you know, just taking a little bit of oral vitamin C might help a little bit. But usually, even if it's like 50 times the daily requirement, that is nowhere near enough to freaking stop serious problems. Okay? You really need a medical doctor to do this stuff. But you got to be in another country pretty much. Like if you're in the United States, you have a hard time getting IV ozone therapy. You can, but it's not too easy to get it. And there's also IV vitamin C therapy in massive doses. I'm not a doctor, but I read doctors have used this stuff on stuff they said doesn't cure, you know, there's no cure and all this kind of garbage. Cancers and blah, blah, blah. And it's so simple and so cheap. And you don't even need to be a super skilled doctor to use it. So that would put him out of business, baby. And actually, I'll tell you one thing. A lot of the Russian scientists are telling us some of these wacky cures. They're not wacky. Some of the frequency cures are being used, treatments are actually being used by the cosmonauts when they go to space, on the space station. You know, they can't carry all pharmaceuticals with them. They actually use a type of, we'll call it quote-unquote, rife frequency treatments to fight parasites and disease and microbes. Dirt cheap stuff, man. You got to know what you're doing. So, I mean, you know, it doesn't mean that it alleviates medical professionals, but it's far cheaper. So, these yo-yos, Hillary and Obama and Jeb, it's all about total control, man. I don't want to leave out Jeb and the Bush family. It's all about total control. And, you know, Obama's got, you know, he was like a different face we got in there. You know, oh, it's different. Same crap. He's a sellout. Uncle Tom Obama. It's all the same thing. Anyway, Linda LBJ, same thing. You know, most of them were. Truman, big socialist, yo-yo, 33-degree Mason. But the real backbone of America is probably the veterans, man. Probably is. And, you know, most of them. Not all of them. So anyway, I want to warn you about this Obamacare crap, because you're going to find out, man. I mean, people are like, really? Oh, yeah. All right, we'll see. You're going to find out. $95 you're going to be paying this time around, or $325 next time minimum, or $1,100 the year after. That's your minimum. That's $1,100 or more. Right? So anyway, people are going to find out, and what are you getting for it? Nothing. That's because you don't have insurance. And if you're exempt this year, it doesn't mean you're exempt next year, because the game is you're a frog in a fire in a boiling water, and they turn up the heat and they say, well, we can't have this exemption this time. Let's vote this exemption out. You'll see. Obama has been Uncle Tom Obama to the max. I'm not saying he's the only bad guy. Truman's a bad guy. LBJ was a bad guy. Next, I think, is this yo-yo, Hillary. She's got a lot of support, not from me, but she's in there, man. I think she's in there. She's chosen by the elite. So, veterans are the ones that are going to save the day. I'm going to tell you that right now. Don't count on it, though, but I mean, they're about the biggest backbone you got right now in the USA. Veterans. The ones that are out and that don't have to freaking play the game. The ones that have already served, that's in other words, and they're out already. Anyway, over and out.